Okay, so when you put a plus in there, does it end up, where does that end up in relation to the y-axis? Does it end up left of it or right of it?
Right.
With the plus one, where did that end up? Does that end up on the positive side or the negative side?
Positive.
What's this going through right here? Okay, let's calculate the zeros. So menu, analyze graph, 0. I want you to go do that twice and calculate both of the zeros. Menu, analyze graph, 0. Okay. So, what do you notice about the zeros and our factors in parentheses? What do you notice about the signs?
They're opposite.
They're opposite. So if I want something to be on the positive axis or the positive x-axis, do I want to put a minus or a plus in there?
Just going positive, you put a minus.
If you want it on this positive axis, you want a minus, right? If I want it on the negative part of the axis, I put a plus. Does that make sense? So let's switch it. I want the whole graph to be in the positive axis. So I'm going to switch it to a minus 1. So it stays in the positive axis. Okay. I don't really need my zeros anymore. So switch it to a minus 1. So now we're in the positive axis. Now, let's say I want, because what we're going to do today is we're going to draw a roller coaster, okay? The other thing I want to experiment with is I want to see what happens. See how this is still kind of going through it. If I zoomed in, we still have a little bit below. But let's say I wanted it to exactly bounce off of that graph. So a bounce off, let's take off the x minus 2. How do you think we bounce off? What do you think I should add to this? Not a 0, but let's try putting a squared on it and see what happens. See how it bounced off the x-axis?
No.
See how it touches it and bounces back? Okay. So a squared will make it touch and bounce back. We know a minus sign will move it. We'll put it over in this direction. Okay. All right. So those are a couple little tips. I want you guys in your math analysis haiku. So everybody's now switching over to whatchamacallit, your Chromebook. And I want you in Unit 1, Task 3. And we're going to do this Task 3 practice right now. Okay. Oh, I need to refresh. Mine doesn't quite look like yours. Yes, reload. Because I added one more thing on there. Yep, there we go. Okay, so click on Period 1. You are going to have to, first of all, sign in with Google. So everybody's clicking on where it said Period 1 and then click on Sign in with Google. What we're going to use is Desmos, and it's an online graphing calculator. That way you can, if you don't finish this in class for some reason, you guys can finish this outside of class. It will automatically give you the class code by following that link. So hit Sign in with Google. And then your name should hopefully pop up. Looks like I'm seeing first names. That's good. And then click Join. All right, so we're going to do this practice. Please make sure it says your name there, not your initials and your ID number, so that way I know who it belongs to. Okay? If your name is, for some reason, is your name there or is it ID numbers? Looking like name? Okay, good. I'm glad it's name. That makes it way easier for me. All right, we're going to click Go. Okay, and we're going to do this one together. We're going to experiment a little bit. So it's going to give us some screens, kind of like we do on the calculator. It gives us pages to look at. So sketch a graph that has a height of at least 100, has 2 zeros, and bounces off the graph once. It must also start and end on the x-axis. Okay? So we're going to have to fulfill those requirements. So the task is going to give you some requirements to fulfill. Okay? So you have to make sure you meet those requirements. Notice it gives you two different lines to do graphs in. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with both lines here in a minute. So, you have to start on the x-axis and end on the x-axis. We're going to assume we start at 0. So to get 0, we just type an x, because that would be x plus or minus 0, right? But you have to, for Desmos, you have to type in the y equals. You're going to start with an x. Where do you think we should end this? What does the window show there? What should the end be? 10. But instead of typing in a, do I type in a plus 10 or a minus 10? We just talked about this. This is the positive axis. How do I type in this factor?
Negative.
We type in the opposite, right? Negative. So do you see how I'm starting and ending on ground level with my roller coaster? That's not a very exciting roller coaster, though, is it? Okay, so we're going to try to make it more exciting. It said I had to have at least 2 zeros, right? And I had to bounce off. What makes it bounce off? Adding a squared. Okay, so let's pick a number. I'm going to do x, and should I do plus or minus? Minus. So I'm going to do x minus, and I'm going to say 3. And I'm going to close it. And we're going to square it, right? And the squared is right down here. Okay. But other than the end and the beginning, do I have 2 zeros yet? No, I got it to bounce, right? It's going underground. It's an underground roller coaster, apparently. Okay. And so I need to add another x value in here. So let's pick another one. I'm going to say x minus 7. All right. The other trick is you need to make sure it fits in the window we gave you. So in the graph patch, I said you couldn't go more than 150 on this one, but you had to be at least 100. So the way that we do that is we fix the coefficient in front. So let's say the coefficient, I want it squished down, right? So I'm going to use a fraction or a decimal point. So I'm going to start with 0.5 and see what happens. Oh, did that help it? Am I above 100? Yeah. But look down here at the bottom. Did I fit in with this piece of the graph? Did I fit into the window here, or is it going underneath the window? It's underneath the window, so I probably need to either play with that number again or play with these numbers. I could change this to a 6. Oh, that made it worse, right? Let's maybe try a 9. Oh, now I made the top bad. 8. Still bad. I'm going back to 7, and I'm going to play with the number in front. So do you see how I'm playing with it, the numbers, in order to make it fit? Let's see if I can squish it more, 0.4. And it only has to be at 100 either above or below. It doesn't matter if it goes to the 100 above ground or below ground. I'm going 0.3. That's getting better, right? 0.2 maybe. Did I make it now? Am I above or below 100? And am I in my window? Yeah. Did I have 2 zeros? Yeah. Yep. See how that little thing pops up there? Click on that. That labels your 0 for you. You're going to have to do that during the task too. And I'm going to label that 0. We're also going to want you to label maxes and mins. But do you see how easy that is in here? You click on it and it labels it for you. So don't lose points because you're going to be lazy and not label. Okay, you should also probably label the starting and the ending, even though we won't be able to really see them. Okay, I think you can you drag it? Oh, no, I don't want to drag. Don't drag the window. I messed up. Okay. Now here's the kicker is, what do we do with this other line? Okay, so here's where, if you don't have a whiteboard out, still get a whiteboard out. Okay, so we're going to practice this together because you're going to do this on your own. Okay, so this is, we're going to call this our factored form. Okay, let's see if it'll let me copy this. The thing is, though, that I also want you to write this function in standard form. So we're going to do this together. Okay, I'm going to find I don't have my homework slides up yet. Let's get those up. So we're going to write it together in standard form. So that means standard form means I'm multiplying this stuff out. Okay? So let's see. Let me find a slide here. Okay. Oh boy. So I don't know what the left and the right means. I just have, maybe it means parentheses. Okay. So we had, let me find my board. Uh-oh. Okay, so we had originally typed in an x, right? It was, I'll rewrite it, 0.2x times x minus 10 times x minus 3 squared times x minus 7. Do we agree? That's what we have typed in there? Okay, so we need to get that all multiplied out. We are going to let you get away with not multiplying in that coefficient because it becomes a mess. Okay? And this gets ugly fast. Okay? So I'm going to start by distributing this in. So when I distribute that x in, what do we get? Minus 10x. Good. And again, you're just using the board to practice your scratch work here. Okay? What do you think we need to do with this? What does the squared mean we have? We have 2 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to FOIL those guys together. So what is x times x? X squared. X times negative 3. And how many of those do we have? 2. So what do I get in the middle?
-6.
Good. And negative 3 times negative 3 is? Positive 9. And then I'm going to just drop this x minus 7 at this point. Probably from there, because I can choose to do multiplication in any order, right? I'm going to choose to multiply this and this together. So I'm going to FOIL those 2 together. If you want to write them next to each other, that's fine. I'm going to choose not to write them next to each other first because that's just more work. So x squared times x is what?
X cubed.
Good. Then my outsides. X squared times negative 7.
Negative 7x.
Good. Negative 10x times x.
Negative 10x squared.
Good. Negative 10x times negative 7.
Negative 70 squared. Negative 70x.
Negative times the negative is always
Positive.
positive. So positive 70x. And then I still have x squared minus 6x plus 9. What do you think I'm going to do from there to multiply those together?
That box.
Yeah, and what have I lost in front that I should really still be writing down? 0.2, but I told you didn't have to multiply that lead coefficient in because it gets ugly. Okay? So let's try it together. We're going to do a 4 by 3 box. Does it matter where the 4 goes and where the 3 goes?
No.
No, absolutely not. You pick the direction. Okay? I chose to do my 3 down the side. And again, the box is a tool to help us stay organized, right? That's all it does, is it helps us multiply. What's wrong, Alyssa?
Why can't you combine the negative 7x squared and the negative 3?
Oh, I could combine these. What did I do there? I don't know. Let's make sure. Is it supposed to be squared x cubed, x squared? Yes, it is. So that was a blonde moment, wasn't it? What do we get in the middle there, guys? Negative 17. Make our lives easier, right? The less multiplying we have to do on this thing, the better. All right, I'm going to redo my box. I apologize. Good thing you're on a whiteboard, not paper, right? Because it fixes way easier. All right, let's get that figured out and fixed up. So x squared minus 6x plus 9. So instead of a 4 by 3, it's a 3 by 3. But we could apply this technique to any dimensions of this, right? So I'm going to go x cubed minus 17x squared plus 70x. You do have your calculator still to help you with your arithmetic, right? All right, so what's x squared times x cubed?
X
To the 5th power.
Good. X squared times negative 17x squared.
Negative 17x to the 4th power.
Good. X squared times 70x.
70x cubed.
Negative 6x times x cubed.
Negative 6x.
Good. All right, here's where our calculators might come in handy. You're going to have to help me because I don't know what it is either. Negative 6x times negative 17x squared.
102x cubed.
Good. Negative 6x times 70x.
Negative 420x cubed squared.
9 times x cubed.
9x.
9 times negative 17x squared.
Negative 26x squared.
26? I don't think so.
153.
153 sounds better. All right, 9 times 70x.
630.
Good. All right, remember on the box, typically our diagonals are what is combined. So I'm starting with x to the 5th. What's negative 6x to the 4th and negative 17x to the 4th?
Negative 23.
X to the 4th still. They're like terms. Okay, unless we're multiplying, we don't add the exponents. All right, so I've got 9, 102, and 70. What do we end up with?
181.
181x
Cubed.
cubed. Yeah, cubed. All right, negative 153 and negative 420.
Negative 573 x squared.
X squared plus 630x. All right. What we're going to do now is take that and type it into the second line in Desmos. Okay, so I'm going to need your help remembering those numbers because I'm not going to remember them. Okay, I'll do it with you. All right, so 0.2, I'm going back to this guy here. So you're going to do your y, that's what's going to go here in y2. So y equals, we know it's 0.2. I'm going to do a parentheses. I'm going to do x to the 5th. And then, let's see, what was next? Negative 23, positive 181 is my next two. So negative minus 23, x to the 4th. Was it 181, is that right? 181 x cubed. 181 x to the 3rd. All right. Not there yet, right? 573 and 630. So 573, 630. Minus 573x to the 2nd plus 630x. What do you notice about the two graphs?
Same.
They're identical. So does Desmos check your work for you?
Yes.
Yes. So this should be identical to this. Okay. And that this is the standard form, with the exception that we didn't distribute the 0.2 in, right? But if we distribute that 0.2 in, it's going to be a mess. Okay? So you're going to have to basically do the same thing for your performance task today. Okay? Before you do that, you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Before you do that, I'm gonna pass out a piece of paper. So everybody grab that task 3 folding. Oh wait, I wasn't done yet. I'm sorry. There were 2 more slides, weren't there?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, what kind of values are the domain? I'm giving you hints to what you need to do for the for the advanced piece. So what kind of values are the domain? X values, right? And then click submit. What kind of other students answered, it says. All right, I'm going to go to the next one. What kind of values are the range? Y's. Okay. And then that's it, right? Oh, for some reason you guys are coming up. I have to see if I can fix that. All right. So, at that point, you're done. Okay, you don't actually have to hit a submit button or anything. I can get it from there. Okay? All right, so the next thing I want you to do is come here back to Power School. I want you to go to the task 3 folding. I'm going to pass out a paper because you're going to need to write down some work, right?